This is a Your Last Resorts production.
And welcome back to the Your Last Resort podcast with your host, Brandon Lejean, aka The Shoe Comic. It's great to be back. Make sure you guys rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Welcome to another week, squad. It's great to talk to you guys again. Again, this is another Zoom episode with COVID and everything that's going on, waiting for it to die down. Only going to have over guests who I know that they've been safe and are tested and all that, just so that we don't have any, outbreaks and problems like that, and I'm not part of the problem. Hopefully this is all over with that vaccine soon, or we might all have Bell's palsy. You never know. But this week, another Zoom episode. My guest is Kelsie Savageau. I mess up her name so often, and I said it there again wrong probably, but that's okay because I say it right when you guys kick into it later. And yeah, she's a great guest. She's a vet tech, old college friend of mine, lived right across the way from us at the apartment complex, basically like a sister to me. So it's great to have her on. We talk a lot about dogs. We talk about dogs who ate edibles by accident. We talk about, the craziest animal stories that she's seen, all that fun kind of stuff that you'd want to ask a vet but can't. I ask those questions. So, again, we couldn't do the candy bar part of the avid dessert consumer part. We couldn't do the kicks of the cast because the camera's all the way up here. So I'm going to go over those things with you right now in this prelude. So right now, the kicks of the cast are these. You can see these. They got love. You can, here's the inside view of this one in case you can't see it. It's got like the love, the little heart red run up the side. These are the love and hate Converse. Maybe love and fear. I always get the name messed up. The correct name will be on the thing, obviously, right next to me. These are a favorite pair of mine. I was introduced to them by, shout out my boy Daniel Kim out there in Korea, serving right now in the South Korean military. When I went out there to visit him, he was rocking these. And I immediately fell in love, and I had to get the name of them from them. Couldn't find them in America. They're like an exclusive Converse drop. They won't ever drop them again. And I had to buy them on resale. But the thing about Converse that's awesome is they're not like Jordans. So I got these $30 over retail, which was like $120 is how much I got them for, which is still cheaper than any pair of Jordans. I know they're not super fancy like Jordans, but they're just sleek. The black Converse, and I love the love on the side of them with the red line through. They're one of my favorite pairs. I try and keep them in the best condition I can. But yeah, those are my kicks of the cast today. And so now, before I do the avid deserter, guys, the Eagles, we finally fucking won, dude. We won. You can see I got the Eagles by me. Super happy to support them this week. Jalen Hurts looked good. Sad to see it for Carson, but I mean, shoot, man, Jalen Hurts might be the future. He looks like he's the truth. He's really good. Really happy with all that. Fuck Saints fans. Fuck you, Corey Tillman. Guest last week. We beat the Saints, all that type of shit. But yeah, so I'm super happy about the Eagles winning. Super happy about all that. And I wanted to tell you guys, it was an interesting thing. The source that I use, Anchor, today, they were like, share how you came up with your podcast name. And I feel like I said this very early on in the podcast, but I know since then there's new listeners and it's gained new people and all that. The reason that I call it Your Last Resort podcast is because when I made this podcast, I was trying to think of a name for it, something different, not just Brandon Lejean's podcast or the Legend podcast or something boring like that. And I was thinking, like, what type of people are going to listen to my podcast? And I was like, I think anyone who really listens to my podcast probably has nothing better to do. Like, this is not, I don't think anyone's rushing home to listen to Your Last Resort podcast. And I thought, people who probably are listening to this, it's their last resort. They have nothing better to do. And they're like, well, I already watched all the shows on Netflix. Maybe I'll check this guy I know's podcast out. So thence the name Your Last Resort, because I really thought it would be people's last resort of entertainment to watch. So it just makes me more happy and so proud of the podcast and that you guys continue to listen each week. Shout out the squad. Now let's move into the avid deserter segment of the podcast. Guys, like I said, we're running out of normal candy bars. I have this place near my house called the World Market. They got fancy shit from Spain, Canada, other countries that I can't think of besides those ones. And they have it same with their desserts, and they have an area where they have all sweets and candy bars. And weirdly enough, this candy bar doesn't have a brand name. I've looked everywhere. It's just called s'mores. I'm going to get a little closer to the camera right now because I don't have a superimposed image to put up. So here comes the shot of it. It just says s'mores. That's all it says. Quality premium chocolate. No brand name, nothing. I can't find it nowhere. So we're just going to call it the World Market brand of candy because they had a bunch of these. And here's the thing. If you heard me talk about my love for s'mores, I love them. It's probably my favorite part of going camping. It's such a great dessert. So I'm excited to try these. But I'm also going to be honest with you guys. Okay, this is like a lot harder to open than I thought. So I'm going to buy myself some time. But when I got this, I was excited because I saw s'mores, but like I kind of got to feel it, through the wrapper, and these marshmallows seem like they were put on here probably 50 years ago. So I don't know how good this is actually going to be, but here's the thing we can build off of. We got the chocolate, the marshmallow, the graham crackers, all that. If it's good, but the marshmallows are hard, this is something you could maybe like put in the microwave for 5 seconds. Kind of have a little snack, a little warm snack like that. So the ratings are up to the side of me now. Let's taste this. Here we go. Chocolate. Comes in little bars on the back. Let's get a bite with the graham cracker and the marshmallow. Here we go. Okay. The marshmallow is awful. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. It's so gross. I can't think of what exactly what's wrong with it, what it tastes like. That shit it tastes deflated. It tastes old. The milk chocolate itself is phenomenal. And the crunch you get from the graham cracker is really, really, really good. But I just don't. This is not like an elite candy bar by any means. This is not something you write your mom home about. It was $5 for this candy bar. I think I could buy all the ingredients for s'mores for the same amount of money. So this is not like a highly suggested candy bar of mine. It's good enough that I'm going to take another bite in a second. But here's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to give you a rating right now. And then recording is going to be done. And I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to try this warm. Just a little bit warmed up and see if that helps the marshmallows by any way. And if it does, whatever I think then, there is now above me a little words written in of what my rating is of it heated up. But my official rating of this non-heated up is an 8.1. It's not terrible. I would far much rather have this over a lot of other candy bars, but at an 8.1, it's just not elite, not something I would buy again, not worth the price tag, not all that. So hopefully there's a better rating with it being warm, but you never know. So guys, I love you so much for listening. I know I'm monotoned and emotionless, and it never seems like I mean that, but I'm so thankful. And so without further ado, my guest, Kelsie Savageau, maybe. Who knows? You'll hear the correct last name. And Kelsie, I know you're going to listen, so I'm sorry for saying it wrong twice. The squad, I love you. Now enjoy the rest of this episode of Your Last Resort podcast. See ya. And welcome back to the Your Last Resort podcast with your host, Brandon Lejean, a.k.a. The Shoe Comic. I'm here with my guest this week, Kelsie Savageau, who is a vet tech. We went to school together at Murray State. We actually lived right across from each other at the Station Apartments. You were one of the first people that I kind of got to meet when I moved in there. I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. Thanks for being on here.
Thanks. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so it's we've known each other for a while. There'll be I'm gonna record it after this, but there'll be a little intro where I'll tell a little more about you. I do a segment that I can't really have you do because you're not here in person. Give them a little of that, but thanks for tuning back in, guys. To anyone listening to the squad, Before we kind of get into you, I like to break the ice a little, do a would you rather. So the first would you rather, and this one might be easy for you because there's an important variable in it, but would you rather always have wet socks or never be able to wear socks? Now, are you someone who's very comfortable not wearing socks in your shoes?
I never used to wear shoes ever.
Oh, I'm judging you a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I never wore shoes or socks. I was always barefoot.
Oh my gosh. Did you grow
Yeah.
up on are you Johnny Appleseed? Did you grow up on an orchard or something?
Maybe. I could not do wet socks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Damn. Okay. I was kind of banked because it was like I either was going to get to make fun of you for not wearing socks or it was going to be a very hard question. So I hate the feeling of not wearing socks. Like I think it's really, really gross. But I'm going to be honest, I still think I would choose no socks over wet socks.
Yeah, because then your feet are just like freezing and like gross all day in wet
Yeah.
socks.
It's got to be one of the worst feelings in the world. Like a part of the podcast that I don't do on Zoom, the Zoom part, I do it in the prelude when it's like this. I have kicks of the cast, whatever shoes I'm wearing. I can't lift my foot up high enough to show it. So I have just socks on right now. And but I need to put shoes on after for when I film the little thing. And I'd been wearing a pair of socks for like 30 minutes before this, and I took a shower and they got wet, and I tried to put them back on as wet socks, and I just was like, I'll just get a new ass pair of socks. It's such a violating feeling.
Yeah, and you should just never put on worn socks anyways.
Exactly. Okay, fair. I mean, it was like 30 minutes. It makes less laundry, all that type of stuff.
True.
Okay, so that was the first would you rather. We'll go back into that segment later. So you are a vet tech, and how long have you been doing that for?
So I did it when I was in college in the summers when I went back home, but I've been a full-time technician in January for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're out in the Boston area, right? For those.
Yep, I'm in the suburbs right outside of Boston, about 30 minutes.
Okay, I still want to make it out there at some point. I kind of thought I would travel a lot this year, being out of college, and not really at all. So.
COVID had a different idea for that. I would 10 out of 10 recommend you come not during COVID.
Yes, I also would probably come when it's warmer too. I've fully readapted to a California kid. And now 55 degrees is freezing for me.
Yeah, so. Which today I think I woke up, it was like 18 degrees. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's I think it was like 75, 80 today here. So complete polar opposites. But so you've been a vet tech for 2 years. So you deal with all kinds of animals, correct?
Yep, we do bunnies, dogs, cats, people bring in their pocket pets, ferrets, things like that.
A ferret, wow. What's the weirdest animal you've ever dealt with?
I don't know if I'd say weirdest, but like my first job, which was an emergency hospital, we had to deal with wildlife. So like squirrels and like seagulls. I was like, I don't know how to like handle this. This isn't very often, but anytime we got like a squirrel or a raccoon even, it was like, wow, what do I do now?
Yeah, no, that's got to be super weird because I think like a lot of people, myself included, when you hear like vet or vet tech, you kind of just think of cats and dogs. And at first, like I was just like, oh my gosh, you're dealing with cats and dogs all day. And then I kind of started to think about it more when I was trying to get ready, like some of the questions and stuff. And I just was like, gosh, you must just, you get it. I mean, you know what I mean? You're not going to be like, sorry, we can't help your rabbit, your hamster, and all that. Yeah, I've, it's funny for the people listening. I don't go to the vet a lot. I just tend to call you and ask you for advice now.
Yes.
Because it gets a little expensive. I'm not going to lie. You guys are a very expensive place to visit.
We are. And we're not covered by insurance or anything like that. So we get a lot of flack about what we charge.
I'm sure you know this, but I didn't know this, and I don't think a lot of listeners know. There's pet insurance you can get.
Yep.
That's such a random thing, but I mean, I feel like it's not worth it.
I will say, like, for my dog, it wasn't worth it, like Colton, but if I still had Cole, I would have probably gotten dog insurance for him.
Yeah.
But I will say since COVID, I have stock in one of the dog insurances and it's
Yeah.
gone up like 367% or something since
Oh
I
my
bought it.
God. Wow. Yeah,
So,
that's wild.
and that,
I just would never have thought that there was insurance. And then when I took my dog to the vet a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Do you have pet insurance?" And I was like, "Ha ha 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 ha." And they're like, "Oh no no no, it's a thing. People buy insurance." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like,
mhm,
"Well, if their animal gets hurt a lot, it pays for itself." And I don't know. Like if I think about it, besides like I know you can get all the shots and stuff's included with it, but my
mhm.
dog's coming up on her 13th birthday in a week, and I've taken her to the vet like 3 times in
Yeah,
13 years. So there's just no way it would be worth it
right,
whatsoever.
definitely. And I only say it's worth it for like the dogs basically that eat like socks or stuff like that that
Yeah.
need like surgeries every other week because they have like a foreign body.
Yeah, my buddy's dog, he eats rocks and like cigarette butts out of the backyard and stuff. Like he's an English bulldog too, so it like fits his personality that he looks like he eats rocks already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very fitting.
so I had no idea about the pet insurance. So you said the weirdest animal you've ever dealt with was like the wildlife and stuff. Um, so obviously you get mostly dogs and cats.
Yeah. Mostly dogs, cats,
Which
and
one
then
do you get more? What do you think you get the
mostly
most?
dogs.
Okay,
Dogs.
dogs, yeah. And you're a dog person over a cat person yourself?
Always.
They're so loving. Like the dogs and our cats. I mean, cats got to be even meaner at the vet, huh?
Yeah. Cats like hate us. And that's like
Yeah.
my only experience with cats is them hating me at work. So,
Yeah, they don't get much nicer even when you own them, which is like it. I feel like people who like cats have some emotional trauma in their life. Like, you know, the emotionally traumatized, like scarred women or men who like
right.
date
Something happened.
problems. Yeah, and they're like, I like bad boys and bad girls, and I want my girl to make my life a living hell, or I want my boy, I can never reach him. And it's like, why would you want that? Those are the same people who are like, I'm a cat person.
Person. We debate this at work so much because
I
we
feel,
have some people that are like, cats are way better than dogs. And we're all like, no.
that's like a missing screw type thing. Like they should, if you own a cat, you should automatically be like put on a list. Like just watch out for them.
Yeah. This is a
But
red flag.
yeah. Um, so do you like obviously is there like a Hippocratic oath for vets? You guys have something like that where you can't talk about your dogs and
We
animals?
have like patient confidentiality with like owners and stuff. So I couldn't be like, hey, Brandon, like this dog, this is their owner's name, came in for this.
Okay,
But
okay.
I could be like, oh, this is a really cool story, but you have no idea which animal I'm talking
That's what
about.
I like to hear. Let's hear. You got any cool stories like crazy,
Let's
scary,
see.
made you cry, made you laugh?
Crazy. We get a lot of like dog fights that come in, not necessarily like, you know what I mean? We're not dog fighting like
Yeah,
my
no, you're
big
not running
friends
like a dog fight ring out in
right.
Boston. Yeah.
But we'll get like, someone was at play group and they got attacked or
Mm.
whatever. And we've had dogs come in like completely bloodied and like
Oh,
their owners are so freaked out, but we're like, everything's gonna be okay. But they're like, absolutely not. No, it's not.
yeah.
Um, what else do we get that's pretty crazy? Um, I don't know.
Do you ever get monkeys?
No, we don't get
Oh, that'd be
monkeys. We
so
don't get
cool.
anything like that. At school, we had to deal with like goats and chickens, and like
Hmm.
me being from where I'm from, I'm like, I've literally never even like seen
Yeah.
it up close. And everyone else was like, oh no, you just grab them like this and like
Yeah.
um but that was super weird when we had to do goats and chickens and even horses for me. We're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I never see these where I'm from. But yeah, we got some pretty crazy stories, like when we have to like amputate due to like hit by cars or stuff like that.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
that that's a long road of recovery.
You know what's hilarious right now is I mean, those are, it's a crazy job. And this might sound at the start like I'm taking away from it, but there's definitely people who are listening who like I've been on here and like talked about like people dying and like shit and piss and throw up. And someone right now is like,
why is he talking about these sad stories about dogs? Like, for some
Right.
reason, a dog getting amputated is like more gross. And I was like, you guys want to see this video of a guy getting hit by a car? People be like, show me him. But not a dog. Like, people care more about their animals than
That's
like
like when I only cry when animals get hurt in movies, and when the people do, I'm like, whatever.
That's awesome. That's so funny. Oh, yeah, that's so cool. I had someone on who a couple weeks ago who worked at like a dog hotel, and we got to
Yeah.
talk about animals like this. So I was super excited to talk to you about like the veterinarian side of it, and more like, a higher level of all that. Um,
Yeah.
is there any animals that like are, because you said you've dealt with some weird animals. Are there any animals that are like surprisingly friendly or surprisingly violent that you
Let's
wouldn't think?
that you wouldn't think. I'm trying to think violent. So
I've-
bunnies, they're not violent, but they're surprisingly so flighty that like if you hold them wrong, you can like break their back.
wow.
So that's always like you're like, oh my God, a bunny's here. Like, how are we gonna restrain it?
Hmm.
Um, but surprisingly nice is some people actually bring their rats. They have like pet
Wow,
rats.
rats. Yeah.
And yeah, and if they're handled well at home, like they're the nicest things, and they just want to crawl on you and they want to be held. And I'm always like, this is your pet. I know, I'm sorry.
That's That's so crazy that, right? Yeah, that's a great answer on, like, I was looking for something weird like that because
Yeah.
we live by a park where I am, and it's starting to get colder out here, so we have like rats will run in, so we have to set up a lot of rat traps this time of the year. So I just think it's
Yeah.
funny that, like, we my mom or sister finds her out there screaming for my dad
Yeah.
or someone to come out and kill it with a shovel, and this person's like, you want to pet Jim over here, he's real friendly.
Yep. Yep. Rats. And then like I will say ferrets can be very like they bite. They bite real
Yeah,
quick too. So and
ferrets seem mean.
smell. I'm like,
Yeah, those are just weird pets to own. I can't. You guys ever deal with like reptiles ever, or no, like
yeah,
snakes and
some people
stuff?
will bring in like their bearded dragons or like iguanas to the vet. That
Hmm.
was more my first job where we did have an exotics doctor because
Yeah.
they are like such a different type of vet med. Um,
Okay.
Same with birds, like parrots and like their, African gray bird that's like older than we are and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Yeah, they get brought in sometimes and it's, you just don't think of like, oh, that bird's their like pet, their best friend. Like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of just taught the basic, like a dog, cat, and then maybe like a rabbit or a hamster or like fish or turtles. You don't really think
Right.
snakes, all those super weird things. I still can't get over the rat. Like, they take it on walks and shit.
I don't know. Like, I don't think they do that, but some people they do like their house rat. So they have like free roam of certain rooms in their house and stuff like that, and it lives just like a dog would in your house.
Yeah, not don't think
Yeah,
I
not
could get
for
on
me.
board with that one. I'm gonna have to take a pass on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tell Erica no rats.
Yeah, no rats for sure. Okay, so that was kind of all the stuff I wanted to talk to you about, vet tech, and thank you for sharing those stories. And unless you can think of any more crazy stories of like things you dealt with, like, people bringing stuff in or anything like that, we'll move on to the next segment. Can you think of any or no?
Not off the top of my head. If I think of
Okay.
it, I'll
Yeah,
interrupt.
yeah. Just blur. This podcast has no structure, so just be like, we could be in the middle of something completely random and just blurt it out, and it'll be
Okay.
better than probably whatever I was talking about. We're gonna move into the avid deserter segment. For anyone watching this podcast, in the prelude, I tasted and rated the candy bar because unfortunately we're now like 15 or 16 weeks into this candy bar thing, and all of a sudden I was like today I'm here. I'll grab it real quick. It's like a s'mores candy bar, and we have this world market by us, and so they sell these like gourmet candy bars. But I can't just especially Zoom guests like you, I don't know where you would find that. And like I can't just ask you to go get like a Reese's or a Snickers or a Milky Way because I've already done all those.
Hmm.
So trying to do you think a Reese's peanut butter cup is a candy bar?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I had this debate with my dad and Erica, and they were so adamant. I was like, so then what is it? And they're like, oh, it's just a dessert. And I go, yeah, but if you were like, what kind of candy bar you want, and I said a Reese's peanut butter cup, would you be like, no, that's not a candy bar?
No, it's definitely a candy bar.
Yeah, it comes in a bar-shaped bag, but their whole argument was, well, it comes as a cup. And I'm like, well, like an Almond Joy is an oval, and Kit Kats are rectangles, and certain ones and Hershey's are little squares. And it's like, so what? A Toblerone is triangles. Is that not a candy bar? So
no, it's definitely a candy bar.
Okay, thank you. That's why this is why I had you on.
Yeah.
Because I needed some backup on this situation. So this is where I have all the guests name their top 3 favorite desserts and then your least favorite dessert. And you can you can give anything from like any dessert you want. Last week we had honey buns suggested as someone's favorite dessert. And the only thing I ask is if you're going to say cake, tell me what kind of cake, ice cream, what kind of ice cream. Don't just be like cake, ice cream, candy. And then it's fucking lame, And then give me your least favorite. And if you get stuck at all, just let me know, and I'll just start talking about desserts.
Okay. So my first is Moose Tracks ice cream, which I don't know if that's like a thing by you guys or if
I think it is. What? Explain it to me again.
Yeah, it's vanilla ice cream, and then it has like chunks of fudge and Reese's, like little tiny Reese's in it.
Yes.
So that's like my ultimate favorite. Get it all the time in the summer. And then sweet tarts, my favorite candy.
Wow, I've never. That's a first. The first suggestion is sweet tarts. Those are good. They're not even bad. Like I'm not gonna knock them and be like, oh, those. That's just it's a different taste for a dessert, but I like it.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Can donuts count? Like you counted honey buns.
Yes, we had. Yeah, someone said a cronut was in their top 3.
Okay. Yeah, so I love donuts, and there's a place. It's like based in the East Coast, Honeydew, and their donuts are pretty good.
That'll be a place I try whenever I make it out to the East Coast because I love donuts too. What kind of? You could only have.
It's like a step up from Dunkin' Donuts, but it's still kind of like that.
No, yeah, I don't go to fancy donut places out here. Like I hit this place called Winchell's is kind of where I'll go to. There's one like right off the freeway exit that's always when I'm coming back from LA. So I'll be like, I did a show tonight, and I'll reward myself with a donut because my life is sad like that. But what kind of donut if you could only have one donut?
I'm just very chocolate frosted with sprinkles. That's my go-to.
Okay, all right. I don't like chocolate. I don't like chocolate frosting. I'm not a big fan of like I don't like chocolate cake or chocolate cupcakes. I don't like the chocolate donuts. So
yeah,
it's okay though. What's not
your thing?
No. Which is, it's just my like taste buds as a human don't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so I don't like tomatoes on like my burgers, but I like them on my cold sandwiches. Okay. And I don't like tomatoes by themselves, but I like ketchup. I hate mustard, but like Zaxby's and Cane sauce are like mustard based products, and I really like those. So that doesn't make any sense either. So I just have like
sugar into it.
That's probably why, because like I like cheese on like pizza, burgers, and all that stuff. But if you made me eat a slice of cheese right now, I would throw up on this podcast. Just a regular piece of cheese, well, I would throw up. But if you put it on a sandwich, I'd be fine. I don't know what's wrong with me. This is the cheese segment with Brandon Lejean. This is a piece of Havarti, and I just eat it and throw up on camera.
Sounds good.
That's how I'll end every podcast now. The cheese segment. I like that. What's your least favorite dessert if you had to pick one?
Know it's been said quite often on the podcast, but cheesecake. I hate it. The texture, the taste, the temperature, like everything about it is disgusting.
I get you, yeah. I like some cheesecake. Some I don't like. I get why people don't like it. That's a good one. I think someone said cheesecake like once or twice. It's kind of cool because I get to hear different ones I'd never thought of. Like, I think it took until like week 13 of doing this till someone said black licorice, which like I feel like everyone hates black licorice, but he had a good point about it because his dad loves black licorice, so it's always around him. So he's like constantly reminded how terrible it is. But like most normal people, just it's like a collective hate. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've been offered a piece of black licorice since I was like 7 years old.
Right. Yeah. When you're like
It's not
trick or treating.
No, yeah, and you just throw it away later. It's not something that you have to worry about. Okay, so me going no, yeah, when I want to say yeah is a perfect segue into California speak, and that when we first met, you refused to learn my name and only referred to me as California boy for several weeks.
Yep.
So, can you explain the listeners from your point of view and why you decided to deem me California boy and refuse to learn my name before we became friends?
Yeah. So before we became friends, first of all, he was an Eagles fan. So I'm like,
Yes.
I'm Patriots.
Yeah.
But he moved to Murray and we got slammed with snow for what Murray would considered slammed with snow.
The heater in my apartment broke.
Yeah.
So it was 1 degree out. California boy in snow, no heater, first night there. I was ready to leave.
And he moved in across the hall from me, and like I was already really close with the boys that lived there. And I was like, who is this kid? Like, he clearly like doesn't know what he's doing. We didn't have classes. We didn't like literally Murray was shut down.
Yeah.
And then one night, I think it was Kenny brought you to a sweets party. And I was like, who is this? He's like, oh, he's from California. I was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to him. I was like, what's up, California boy? And Brandon's like, this girl is probably a bit annoying. And I just was like, all right, he's kind of quiet. Why isn't he talking? Which now, you know.
Yeah, now I don't shut the fuck up. Once you get to know me, I don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, when we first met, like you were quiet. I had to just like batter you with questions, and you were just like, okay, oh my gosh, I hope she like stops talking to me soon. And then it was probably until whenever the Super Bowl was that I like stopped calling you California boy.
Which is a while because the Super Bowl is in February and I moved there in January. So it was at least a month of you looking at me as less of a person.
It wasn't that. It was just that's who you were in the apartment.
No, I get you. Well, it was such I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, so if I have, sorry, but it was such a terrible time for me to move across a country to a school in a new environment for the first time, like really like being on my own for the first time ever. Like it was so bad because like you said, more snow than I ever saw there ever again. It snowed like 2 feet or something. Like
and I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. Let's drive.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the heater kicks out. I'm leaving my family for the first time and I'm also now starting like a long distance relationship. Like my life just like did a complete 180, and obviously, yeah, whatever. I'm so grateful I got to go there and all that, but still it was a shitty situation to hop right into. So I think like when you're like, he was so quiet, I just was sad and I had nothing to say because Gabe and Kenny, shout out my first 2 roommates, they told me that I was wearing a cross necklace when I came, like a silver one. And because I was so quiet, they thought I was from the military. They thought I was like, I had they said they thought I had PTSD. And that's why I was so quiet all the time. And then I remember like the first night we kind of partied, they were like, yeah, we thought you were an asshole, but you're kind of cool, man. And I'm like, okay, for sure.
You're like, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, I think. So yeah, I mean, we ended up becoming like great friends. We'd hang out all the time. And, you know, just there was like an open door policy between our 2 apart. Unfortunately, 514 had an open door policy to anyone in all of Murray, Kentucky. It was just like, what's up, man? I'm here to smoke weed in your living room. I'm like, there's no one here. And they're like, yeah, so-and-so said it's cool. I'm like, I've never heard of them. They're like, okay. I'm like, okay. That was just the life of 514. But yeah, I remember there was a time where I got home early from a party and no one was back and I was locked out and I like slept on your guys' couch and we would borrow things all the time. And then another story I wanted to talk about. Do you remember also another roommate who moved in the same time as I did? We'll only use his first name, but it's Nick. And my roommate...
Yeah, to be fair, like you and him moved in at the same time and both of you were quiet and I literally never saw him. I was like, who is that? Did they come together? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, we had a roommate, his Nick, and he moved in the same time as I did. He was a JUCO guy too. I kind of thought we'd get along. Linemen, we're kind of like the same area of expertise. We both get in. We're both quiet at the start. He talked to me about like video games and stuff. He seemed like a very normal guy, and then he just stopped. Like, he wouldn't ever come out of his room. Kenny and Gabe were great first roommates. Like, I really couldn't have asked for better first roommates because they would take me everywhere. Hey, you need to go to the market. Hey, I'm going here. Hey, I'm going here. Hey, you want this? Hey, this. And everywhere they invited me, no matter what. Even at first when they like didn't like me, and they did the same for Nick, but like Nick always said no. And then I think the first night where we really were kind of like, fuck this guy, was the night we became friends on the Super Bowl, because you came over to watch it, right?
Yeah, I was there for some of it.
Yeah, so you were there for some of it, and he had a giant TV in his room, and we figured like, hey, we're all football bros, like we're going to all watch the Super Bowl. We're like, hey man, you want to bring your TV out here? We'll help you move it. That way we can watch it on the biggest TV. Because we all had like 32 inches, and he had like a 50-inch TV in his room for some reason. So he was like, and he goes, no. We're like, oh, you're not going to watch the Super Bowl? And he goes, no. And he sat in his room and just played video games the whole time. He was a very odd person. Yeah. He also had a meal plan when he lived off campus. So like we would all just cook food in the apartment. Hard. And he would just have to march over there and like eat all the time. And so he was just he was a different kid. But one night we all had these naked juices in our thing, like the bottles of them. And Gabe, we love Gabe, but Gabe doesn't have boundaries. Like here's the thing though. I'll give him this, because what's his is yours. Yes, but what's yours is also his, whether you want it to be or not. But he's very generous. So you just kind of are like, okay, yeah, he ate this. I've ate all of it. He's, you just deal with it. But Gabe drank his juice, and all he had to do was just be like, hey man, did you drink my juice? And he'd be like, yeah, my bad. I'll buy you 17 more of them.
Right, and he would have.
And he would have. But the guy comes in and he's like, who the fuck drank my juice? I know one of you fucks drank it. And it's like, okay, man. Obviously, one of us drank it, but please calm down. And he starts getting aggressive. And now Gabe takes this as a challenge. They're bickering back and forth. They're at each other's head, and they're arguing. And he's like, buy me a new juice. And again, like we said, if he would have just asked Gabe, it would have been done. But he commanded Gabe. And you can't command Gabe. And so he starts freaking out. And then real quick, Gabe has a dog. Shout out Cole. He's a Kapahula Papapula dog, and he's sick. And Nick goes, you better watch Cole then. Like, this guy threatened our apartment dog with violence because someone drank a $3 juice. Yeah. So, he was an interesting cat.
And that was me. I was like, I will never, ever, ever respect this guy ever again. Yeah. He talked about Cole. That is it. I'm done. Like, screw him. Yeah. And I was on fire. Gabe was on fire. Like, he told me, and I was like, I couldn't even believe that was like a thing.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, it's the closest thing to like threatening someone's kids. Like, you better watch your kids. Like, we don't have kids, but our dogs are like our kids. So just to threaten that, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, so many weird things. We have a lot of college memories. Is there any other ones you can think of? Because there's another thing I want to talk about, but I want to give you a second to sharing if you want.
Well, just with the other roommate that you moved in with, I remember there was the tornado sirens that one day.
Yes.
And, like, you guys are like, I could hear you talking outside. And I was like, guys, come in here. And, like, I just remember he was adamant that you guys went to the stadium. And I was like, no, but just come into the apartment.
Yeah.
And we have candles and flashlights, and you guys don't, and don't go to the stadium. And, like, he was like, no, we have to. And Brandon, you were like, yeah, I'm going to go in there. Like,
yeah. Because, so he's from Arizona, so I'll give him credit. Me and him don't deal with tornadoes. And Kenny and Gabe had went to Paducah that day, so they were gone. and a storm hits, and like tornadoes are weird because like a rainstorm hits and it looks like the house is gonna fall down with rain, and then there's this scary like ominous calm, like it's
Yeah.
silent almost. There's no wind, there's nothing, and that's like right before shit gets crazy.
Yeah.
And I can hear all the rain and the thunder and the lightning, and I'm kind of used to that at this point now, and the whole power kicks out. And I'm like, oh man, we lost power. And all of a sudden I hear like, please stay inside. Tornado warning. Seek shelter. Tornado. Tornado. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I can't get a hold of even Jenny. Yeah. I call another roommate, shout out X, and he goes, he's from California too. I go, hey, can you please take me to the stadium? There's a tornado warning. It says we need to get up to like shelter. And he goes, nah, you're fine. He goes, they don't touch down here. He goes, you're completely fine. Trust me. And like at this point, I've also put in the D-line group chat, like, hey, what's going on? And someone goes, get in the bathtub. And I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm not taking a bath right now. There's a goddamn tornado. I didn't know that that's like the safest place you can hide. So I'm out of my element, freaking out. And we can't walk. The stadium is a 5-minute walk, but it is torrential downpour. Like,
yeah, it was bad.
It's raining so bad that I'm like, I think I'd rather die from this tornado than walk in the rain. Like, that was the reasoning I took. And then, yeah, you took us inside, and I remember he was freaking out. Like, you kind of talking to people, and you would kind of calm me down and explain, like, dude, a tornado hasn't touched down here in like 70 years. If it does, we'll get in the bathtub. We'll be safe. Trust me. And I was like, cool. Can I come inside at least? I don't want to be alone. You were like, yeah. And this guy's like, come on, man. We got to get over here. It's coming out of the walls, man. Game over, man.
I know. I was like, just come in and play with the damn dogs. Like, come on. Take your mind off of it.
It was like the startled dogs in weather and stuff. Like, he was like, oh my God, the wind, the rain. Oh, it's so loud. Thunder, lightning. You were like,
yeah, I was just like, okay. And this was before he threatened Cole. So I was willing to let him in the apartment as well.
Yeah.
But I was like, come on, it's going to be fine. Like, we have dogs in here. We have candles. We have flashlights. Like, we'll like hang out. And he just like could not calm down.
That's so awesome. So, him freaking out. We'll go back to some more college stories in a second, but Erica has started giving her dog CBD when it's afraid of the wind.
Oh.
And we get a lot of wind in California with the Santa Ana winds.
Yeah.
And we bought these like things from this, like, you know, we went to like a very bougie gourmet thing so that we weren't buying like, you know, try not to buy like bad products for it. And they were like, this is a gummy. Give a full one for every 30 pounds. So we like cut it in half because he's like a 20-pound dog.
Yeah.
We gave it to him, and like he, like, you know, a couple minutes later he starts to calm down. He's calm, and then like we're like, okay, are you okay, Barney? And we like leave him in the room, and then we come back, and he is crying. Like,
Aww.
he's no longer scared. His eyes are shut. He looked so faded. His eyes are closed, and he's no longer like shaking with fear. He's just going, like, and tears are running down his face. He was too faded. Like, and she gave him it again because of the when he was freaking out, and he like will go in the shower and get under like towels and just sit in the darkness for like 5 or 6 hours when he's on CBD.
That goes back to my job. We have dogs come in all the time with marijuana toxicity.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I so wanted to talk to you about that, and I forgot. So yes.
Yeah. So it's legal in Massachusetts. So you can buy it at dispensaries. Yeah. You can still get it the sketchy way, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And we're always like, just tell us if your dog ate marijuana. Like, we literally couldn't care any less.
We're not gonna call the cops on you.
Yeah, and people are like, well, I was like on a walk in the park and he did eat something off a leaf.
This minority ran up to me and stuck a joint in the dog's mouth. I swear it wasn't me.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, do you think the leaf was maybe had like marijuana on it? And they're like, it definitely could have. And we're like, all right, we just need that information so that we can cure the dog. But
yeah,
they get so zoned and they're stoned and their pupils dilate. And the main symptom is actually dribbling urine. So they come in and they can't hold their bladder. They're like peeing.
It's too
they
faded.
Can't see. Yeah, and they are just like, holy crap. And we're always like, everything's going to be fine. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And the owners, they're like, thank you so much. Like, and we have some owners that come in like monthly and they're like, no, I was on a walk again in the same park and it ain't
dog's
something
been high for 30 days.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, stop going to that park then if that's actually the story.
Yeah.
And second of all, put your weed somewhere else. Like,
that's because I was wondering that because I had read something that said a lot of, because especially like because marijuana is legal here too, just like it is in Massachusetts, and you've seen an uptake in like people who don't normally smoke or eat or do weed, like do it now. I mean, middle-aged, it's such an overplayed word, but middle-aged Karens literally like, oh my God, it's Wednesday night. I'm going to have a halfie of this 5 milligram and a glass of wine. Oh my gosh. Wild Wednesdays. Like, so, but it's more everywhere now. So it's so easy that like, people drop it on the floor. I mean, dogs get into shit all the time too.
Oh, yeah.
So so can it kill dogs, or is it more like is it more just like bring them in and it'll be all right?
Bring them in and we will do everything, to kind of get the high to last like less than it would. Mm-hmm. It would take a very high dose for them to actually die, but it can cause like neurologic symptoms if they get like, if it's like a Colton sized dog and he got, 100 milligrams, he would be very neurologic. But your Labrador eats your 5-10 milligram gummy.
Yeah,
as long as it's not chocolate, then we worry about the chocolate.
Yeah, the chocolate's a big thing too. Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's so wild. So as like a vet, you're like, oh, that's okay that they ate weed. Just please tell me it wasn't chocolate weed. Like
we're like, if it's chocolate, now we have to try to make them vomit, and if it wasn't chocolate, we won't. So. Yeah,
that's so funny that can happen. Yeah, because. Yeah, I just am. Yeah, you're surprised that you'd think you'd have more, because that probably happens a lot with like kids too. I should ask my mom that when I had her on, because she's a nurse and all that. But I'm sure that they probably get that and all that. That's so funny. Do dogs get munchies when they're high? Can you debunk this fact?
I am not. This isn't scientific. Just off of what I see,
this is an official fact of Your Last Resort. Yeah. So, yeah.
They usually are kind of nauseous. They'll get super drooly. So I can't see that they would love like food, but I think once they're a little bit out of it, they would probably, dogs love food anyway.
That's true. Yeah, dogs like, I mean, dogs lick their own buttholes. They're cute, but they also lick their own buttholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it comes with the territory. Okay. The only last thing I wanted to talk to you about with like our college life before we do a couple more segments. Actually, I'm gonna save it because I like to break up the segment, so it's not just segments. So we'll come back. I got a classic one that we'll both be like, how did we not talk about this earlier? But we're gonna move into the dumbass of the week. So the dumbass of the week this week brought to you by Red Foreman.
Dumbass, dumbasses, dumbass, 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 dumbass.
The dumbass of the week this week is Gene Simmons. And this might confuse people at the start, but this one's fun for me because it involves the Eagles too. So first off, the Eagles started a new quarterback this week named Jalen Hurts, and he is a Q-Dog, which if you listened to the podcast last week, you got to meet one, you got to see a hop, all that kind of stuff. The Q-Dogs do a very like distinct sign that I'm not going to do because I'll get my ass kicked. But if you're looking at the podcast, it's now between us. And I don't know what that is called, but it happens a lot. And Jalen Hurts got a first down and did it, and he has the tongue out with his hand up. I think it's called like you're throwing up like the hooks or something. Yeah. And Gene Simmons began trending on Twitter because like a white guy, like a white ESPN analyst, tweeted out a picture of him with his tongue out and the shanka or the hookup, and he said Jalen Hurts channeling his inner Gene Simmons, and Gene Simmons was nationally trending because all the bros and the Q-Dogs were like, what the fuck? That's not Gene Simmons. He also good chance Jalen Hurts, he's a very religious guy. He's not a white guy, and he's not from the 80s. I don't believe he's an avid Kiss listener.
Oh my God.
And so Gene Simmons was trending because a bunch of people thought that Jalen Hurts was shouting out Gene Simmons for some reason, of all people.
That's so funny that it was just on your last podcast too.
I know, it was perfect because it is kind of like I mean, before I went to college, I had no idea what a Q Dog was. I never met a Q Dog ever. I'd seen like the branding, but I didn't know what it was. And
no,
a lot of people,
same way.
yeah, a lot of people don't. I explained it a little bit on the last podcast, but yeah, it's just like a very proud, like historically Black fraternity that started. Like they're one of the oldest fraternities around, and so it was just super funny because like it wasn't even like every tweet I read, like no Q Dog was like really mad. They just were almost like they understood how funny it is that like white people have no idea that it exists, and that they were like, this is Gene Simmons, and they're just like, no, it's like our whole fraternity.
This is literally history. Like, come on. Oh
yeah, that shit had me dead, and I just thought it was the perfect dumbass for the week. It's an Eagles thing, and it rolls right in with this.
Yep.
And I smartly, anyone, if you get interested and dive deeper into Q Dogs and stuff, I just want to one more time advise you, do not do any of the stuff unless you're in it, because they're very rightfully so. They're very proud, and
that's theirs.
They're gonna beat your ass if you do it. That's just straight up. That's what I was told. If someone I was like, "What's that?" They're like, "It's a fraternity. Just don't ever do it." And I was like, "Okay." And it wasn't that hard to accept that. Okay, so that was the dumbass of the week, brought to you by Red Foreman. So before we move into the final two segments of the podcast, I wanted to talk about another classic memory: the trips to Lucky's.
Oh my
How
God.
could we forget? R.I.P. Lucky's.
I know. I texted you immediately. Like, can you believe that?
It was so sad that it closed. I'm not really surprised during the pandemic that it closed, because Lucky's. So for anyone who's not from Murray, Kentucky, listening to this, Lucky's is a bar in Murray, Kentucky, and there's 3 bars. There's the Big Apple, Lucky's, and Tap. And Tap and Big Apple are more restaurants than a bar. Lucky's is really the only bar. It's a dive bar. If you go there on any night besides a Thursday, there's not a soul in there.
You're the only one there.
Yeah. But Thursday nights, they would do karaoke nights. And I'm not exaggerating when you had to be there before 9 o'clock or you wouldn't get into the bar. You'd have to wait outside. And so
forever.
So in Kentucky, Thursday night football kicks off at 7. So we'd watch the kickoff at a house down the street. Shout out Brendan Bognar at Poplar. And we would pregame. Halftime would hit. We'd have a mass exodus down to Lucky's, and you'd get in and there'd be karaoke. But listen, I had a couple nights where I was like, I wasn't drunk enough. I want to watch more of the game. Or I was like doing a homework assignment and showed up at 9:30. If you were not there before 9, it could be an hour and a half wait to get in. Yeah. And I remember one time I sat out there for an hour in 37-degree weather waiting to get in. Lucky's karaoke night is awesome.
And you can just see everyone while you're waiting in line having fun inside the bar.
They got the big glass windows where you're literally the Squidward meme where he's looking through the window all sad. That's you get that full experience at Lucky's. It's the saddest thing. It sucks.
Yeah, me and Olivia always got there at like 7:30, so it never mattered for us.
No, yeah, you had the right move. And then we'd always sing the classic, like, we would literally, the karaoke name, they wouldn't be like Brandon Lejeune. They go Murray State Football. And we would go up and sing Rockstar by Nickelback and Country Roads. And it's I think that's the closest I'll ever get to feeling like a real rock star. You know, I can make it big in comedy and I can sell out venues and have that feeling, but you could go up there on a Lucky's on a Thursday night, throw on Country Roads, the whole crowd goes, oh, like when a musician plays their classic. Dude, I would get the mic and the chorus would hit, and I'd hold the mic to the crowd, and they'd sing the chorus for me. Like, I'd be like, "Hey, you!" They go, "Country road."
It was a thing. Like, everyone who went Thursday nights knew that was going to happen at some point, and they all would like stop what they were doing. They would stop darts. They would stop, whatever. Yeah. And it would just be like the whole entire bar was singing with Mercy football.
Because as corny and douchey as it was that we like demanded the attention of everyone, people just took it for what it is. It was fun, drunk nonsense. Like, they all knew that we were piss drunk and we were having the time of our lives. Yeah. So yeah, Lucky's on a Thursday night will forever.
And then the few times I would convince you to walk home from Lucky's.
Those were brutal.
This is going to be so fun. It's like so quick. And like 45 minutes later, you're like, oh my God.
Especially the walks where you'd, instead of just cutting through campus, you'd hit the right and head on over to Cookout.
Yeah.
You need the late night cookouts so you didn't have a hangover for Friday morning classes and stuff.
You need the whole tray for like $3.
Oh, such a steal. No wonder everyone's so fat in Kentucky. Yeah. Sorry, Kentucky people. But I remember I'd pay an extra $1, and this is the meal I could get: 2 beef quesadillas, chili cheese fries, hush puppies, and a chocolate banana smoothie for $6. You could get that. It was, like, and
gross.
Yeah, and you could get like even more aggressive combos where you go like double beef quesadillas, a double cheeseburger, and chicken tenders with a milkshake if you wanted to. It was disgusting, but it was so great. Some of the best food. I miss Cookout. When I was in Nashville earlier this year, and one of the nights I like wandered like a mile by myself to get Cookout. Yeah, I was like, I have to have Cookout.
Yeah, no, Cookout is definitely a 10 out of 10 Murray experience.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, we had so many good memories. I mean, I could go on for hours. Most of them involve us being drunk.
Yeah, we were. But I will also say, like, there was so many times where, like, I'd be like, hey, I can't go out tonight. And you'd be like, great, you have to drive me home. And then it would be like vice versa. You'd be like, I have a test tomorrow. I'd be like, great, I'm like hammered. Can you please come get all of us?
Yeah, and even though we're joking, like, we spent a lot of, like, because of the open door policy, you'd walk over and be like, dude, we just started The Incredibles. And you'd be like, cool, and you'd sit down. Or, like, we would go get food. I mean, we hit up, what's the place that was right next to us? The Mexican food place.
Oh,
Los Portales. Yes, Los. Yeah, Los for the margs. And that place was good. We even, it was only a couple times because I got there at the end of it, but we hit, Huddle House right before it closed.
Yep, Huddle House. Well, because you would just be like by yourself. I'm like, what are you doing? Come sit with us. Like, when you first came.
No, yeah, you were super nice, which was cool because I'm an antisocial person until you get to know me. And I don't and I've been trying to be better at like when I see people, I'm like, you look uncomfortable here. Like, let me include you. Cause I was that person just with my head down, super fucking awkward, all that type of stuff.
Yep. Well, if you lived in 514, you were forced to be friends with me.
Yeah, no, but
everyone who's lived there.
I'll always love 514. There was like a phase where I really wanted to get into like tattoos, and I was like, I'm gonna get a 514 tattoo somewhere on me. But I don't know. I think I'm getting too old for tattoos. I know I'm only 23, but I feel like I should have started by now.
You can still start for sure.
I did make a deal with the devil. I have to get an Eagles championship tattoo. I said if they won, I would get one. And I have to name my son Nick Foles Lejeune, NFL. So that or the ground's going to open up and take him from me like Rumpelstiltskin.
You could like incorporate 514 into your Eagles Super Bowl since you were there. And try to make it all mesh together.
Yeah, I think I'll just end up getting like an Eagles thing just on my thigh, and then no one will see it.
No one will ever see it.
Yeah, it won't be like I'll wear like short swim trunks, and like my kids will be like, Dad, why are you wearing short shorts again? We can see your ugly tattoo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be an embarrassing ass dad, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move into the Would You Rathers, the official Would You Rather segment of the podcast. I'll read you the Would You Rathers. I've read them before, so I'll kind of go into a little detail, talk about it to give you a second to think about it. But the first one is, would you rather have the ability to make people forget, or would you rather have the ability to remember everything? So immediately at first, when I heard make people forget, I can just off the top of my head think of like very embarrassing moments in my life where I wish nothing more that I could have the ability to make people forget it. And
pretend it never happened.
Yeah, and it would come in handy. And like because you could like hit on a girl and bomb and then just be like, this never happened. And they're like, nice to meet you. Yeah, you could keep trying over and over again. But the remembering everything would also be nice, but you would also remember all those embarrassing things. You could never, there's no more repressed memories.
So if I chose to make people forget, would I still have a memory though? Like
yeah, you still have your normal memory. You just don't, I mean, obviously you don't remember everything, but I'm talking like you can remember, there's like pluses. You can remember like your first birthday. You can remember maybe that relative that passed when you were young. You also remember crawling out of your mom's vagina. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think the power to forget would be top notch.
Yeah, I feel like that would come in more handy. Like what I would do is every time I had a bad set, I'd just make everyone there forget about it. And
yeah,
like,
they
never has a bad set, and I'm like, damn straight.
Yeah, they'd be like excited to go to your next one because they don't remember that they just went to one that wasn't great.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. Oh, I'm so glad that undid it. So I have like notes written down for the podcast, and when I was reading the Would You Rather, my hand hit it, and then I voice spoke everything we've been saying, and it erased all of my notes, which we're almost done, so it would have been okay. But I just swiped out, and then everything came back. So
good. That would have been a little bit of a panic.
Yeah, you would have watched me freak out a little. So you're gonna go with making people forget everything?
Yeah, there's like some like top 10 things I could be like, I wish no one ever remembered this.
I agree, and also think of it this way: you ever meet someone who's dumb, like just a dumb person?
Yes.
There's kind of a simplicity to the life that they live.
Yeah.
Where they're just oblivious. Like, don't you wish sometimes? You know those people who just like they're like I don't like. Party all the time. You know, they're like, hey, you want to go here? And as a logical person, you're like, well, I don't really have a ride home, and I have to be here tomorrow, and I can't really do this. But there's that person who's like, fuck yeah, full send, let's go. And
they're like oblivious to anything that would happen after what they're thinking about.
Yeah, and they have sometimes terrible situations, but they also have times of their life. And sometimes I'm jealous of that because I'm not at that level of stupidity.
Yeah.
So imagine if you remembered everything, like you'd live a boring life because you'd learn too many lessons. Like how many times have you done the same dumb shit over again where like, you know, I mean, even just like going out for a night for a drink with like a guy that you thought was be a good time and he ditched you, but you still got free drinks and got to party and you're like, how many times am I going to let this happen to me? And you're like, when am I going to learn this lesson? Some of them aren't the worst thing, but you would always remember that. I think you just would be a lonely, sad, smart person type thing.
Yeah, if you remembered every little thing.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with that too. The last Would You Rather, and most of them I find on Reddit because I can't think of them. This one I came up with just for you.
Okay.
Would you rather eat a dog once or let 50 cats die? And they all have families. They're not wild cats. They're all loved ones. Or you just got to sit down. It's not a dog you know. You'll never know what dog it is. You know what? I'll guarantee the fact that it's not like you eat it and like 10 years later, I'm like, that was your sister's dog or something like that. Talking just a random dog. You can have it cooked how you want. You know, you want it with a side of rice, whatever you need.
You know, I don't even eat meat in general. So that would be so hard for me to be like, I'll eat a dog, but not any cow or chicken.
I know, but now otherwise 50 cats, dead.
Is it like all at once? Do they know I'm the reason?
Yes. Like, here's what's happening. You're sitting in a room, and there's a TV prompter in front of you. And the TV prompter has, like, 50 cats in an enclosure. And there's and there's 50 people standing around the edge. Like, get my cat out of here. Someone help, please. And
It's just me.
and then right in front of you is a fresh plate of dog. And I'm sitting there, and I look at you, and I go, one phone call, and they're all dead, and you don't have to eat it, or you eat it, and one phone call, and they're all alive. And then you're like, I don't think I can eat this. And I go, okay, I'm going to tell them to start the process. And I pick up the phone, I go, start it. You ever seen Star Wars, where the trash compactor the walls start coming in? They get
No, it has to be humane euthanasia.
I go, are you gonna eat the dog or not? What are you doing?
I honestly don't think I could eat a dog. Like,
okay.
I know 50 cats. I know that's like horrible, but like I haven't eaten meat in 16 years. I don't think I could. I don't think I could do it.
I get you. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What if it's okay, here, ready? What if it's a plate of tofu, but I take a dog in front of you and I just slit its throat and it covers the tofu with blood? What about that? No, still the cats?
No, I can't eat like animal product. Like,
okay, guys, you heard it here first. Kelsie wants 50 cats to be smashed by a trash compactor.
Oh my God. No, it's humane euthanasia.
Okay, yeah. Humane euthanasia of trash compactor walls. Okay, so you're choosing the 50 cats.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I would have chose the 50 cats too, but like, it wouldn't even been hard. They would have been like, you got to eat this dog. They would have been like, 50 cats die, and I would have been like, 50 cats die. But you don't want to hear the other option? I'd been like, kill them. Can I?
No, I still have a heart for cats, but I couldn't do it.
Okay. Well, if you're in the greater Boston area, do not bring any cats to Kelsie, because
oh my God.
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I thought you would like that one. I like to give would you rathers where I can watch my guests squirm and get uncomfortable. Yeah, because I'm very good with uncomfortable from being on stage and bombing, where you can tell everyone is like, this guy sucks. I know there's no longer the component where maybe for someone to ask that question makes them uncomfortable, or if you had like your sad reaction, it fuels me. It fuels the sadness that is Brandon Lejeune.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah, thanks for helping with that. Okay, so we're gonna move into the last segment. Actually, before we do that, are you a Disney fan?
Yes.
Did you see all the new stuff that's going on with Disney?
Yeah, that they're about to be even better than they were.
I know, I'm excited. I mean, of course, everyone who listens, even to this episode alone, clearly knows I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm so excited. They got 10 new Star Wars series. They got 5 new Marvel ones.
Yeah.
Like 6 new Marvel movies confirmed. 2 new Star Wars movies confirmed. They got like a Buzz Lightyear movie, which is I feel like it's gonna be awesome. It's
gonna be crazy.
They have so much stuff that I didn't even name, but they're doing so many cool things that I'm so excited for. So that's a good. I just wanted to talk about that because that's a great segue into the last segment, which is the last resort media, which is where we talk about things we've been watching, listening to, movies, music, all that, to kind of give people new movies to watch, stuff to check out. The podcast started during the quarantine, so I wanted to give people, maybe we could watch things together. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stuff to keep them busy. So I'll give you a second to think about it. I'm gonna go through them. We rate movies too. The scale, the 1 through 3 scale. 1 is you don't need to see it. 2 is you should see it. 3 is a must see. And if you want to give 2 a closer to something rating, you can. So for me, I was a little lackluster on my consuming things this week. I had a lot of issues with the last podcast, so I had to edit a bunch of shit. But Ocean's 13, I watched that, finally finished that, the Ocean Saga. I had seen it before. I love those movies. I think Ocean's 13 as a whole movie is a 2, closer to a 3, but in the series it's a 3, obviously. Ocean's 12 is not very good. Ocean's 8 is not very good. I know I'm not supposed to say that because it's like an all-woman cast, and now I'm misogynistic because I didn't like it, but it's just not a good movie.
It's just it's your true opinion.
They could have had 8 dwarves with dildos on their heads, and it still would have been a bad movie.
Oh my God.
And then I saw Sherlock, which I've been watching the Sherlock show, but I watched the Sherlock movie with Robert Downey Jr. I've also seen that before. That one's a great movie. That's a 3. It's a classic. I didn't realize it's from 2009, which I remember seeing it in theaters. So that made me kind of feel a little
now you're old. Yeah.
I know, yeah. I saw old movies in theaters. And then music, I was really bad with music this week too. The only new thing I checked out was Cole Wetzel's new album, which is like a rock country type thing, and it's really good. So if you're into like Red Dirt, I'm not the biggest fan of like Ride My Green Tractor country. Like I grew up on a farm. I like where it's more rock based, more rock than country, I suppose. And that's what Cole Wetzel is. So that's good music if you kind of like that stuff. And yeah, that's me. I don't have a lot of good suggestions this week. I'll try and consume more stuff. But for you, shout out any music, TV shows, anything you've watched recently, all that.
TV show. So I'm not a big movie person.
Okay.
I have to be forced to watch movies. I just I don't love it.
You get bored or what?
I don't know. I just sit there and I'm like, is this almost over? Like, I don't know why every movie.
Short-ass attention span.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm just like, where's the hit?
Yeah.
But TV shows, The Undoing, I just watched it's like, I think it's CBS, but it was like a 6-episode series, wicked good. I'm like obsessed with crime.
Oh my gosh, I forget that Boston people say wicked good.
Wicked good. What else for TV? I don't know. I've been on like a Survivor kick. I've been watching all the old Survivor.
That's funny. Someone else, not on this podcast, but like a couple of my really good friends, they all are like, dude, we've all been watching the old Survivors and checking all of those out.
It's so crazy. Like I watched it when I was little, but I clearly never even like actually understood the concept of it. So I've been watching it with one of my brothers, some of the old seasons, and it's so crazy. Fun. Like, I should be on Survivor.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, me and my mom grew up I always used to watch that as a family. That and like Fear Factor. Yeah. And we always were like, we should get on the show. We could win it all.
We could eat bugs. Like,
yeah. So fuck that. I can't even eat pickles.
Can't even eat cheese.
Yeah.
And then I'll always plug Russ, my favorite artist.
Okay, yes.
Music wise, he's been. I think he either like was up with his contract or like I don't know what, but he's been releasing singles like every week on his own.
Does he talk about how he mixed, mastered, and produced all of them, and how he did it on his own?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, he always does. I like Russ. I genuinely like Russ. I have a lot of his songs downloaded. I like his music.
Did you know him before me, or did I show you him?
No, I knew him. I heard about him someone showed me him in JUCO. Shout out Justin Dorsey. He was the one who showed me.
But Russ has like always been my favorite. I was actually supposed to go to his show in May, or like this past May, but now they rescheduled it for a Thursday night, some random time this spring.
At least you got it rescheduled. Like I was supposed to see Dave Chappelle, and it's just canceled now.
Oh, that's.
I'm so sad. I have the worst part is it was close enough to happening at the start of COVID that I was sent the tickets. So in my room are 4 tickets to see Dave Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl, to a concert I never ever went to.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I would be so upset. But then like I am a huge podcast person, and like I listen to all like so many of your episodes, but you weren't even on my top like Spotify Warped. I listened to over 9,000 minutes of podcasts this year. And that's just like Crime Junkies, like Anatomy of Murder. Like I'm obsessed with all the.
My mom loves sword. She's a big Sword and Scale listener.
Yeah.
You ever listen to that one? Yeah, she's
Yep,
a huge
that's
fan.
a good one. There's so many, and like I'm like obsessive over it. I'm like, oh my god, true crime is like, it's so crazy to me how this like type of stuff happens in real life.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah,
Um,
my mom's an avid listener of this. I don't think she's ever missed an episode. There's one episode I told her not to listen to. Which if you want to go back, it's the Would You Rather episode with Dom Pierno. I believe episode 26, but I could be wrong. And other than that, though, she listens, so she'll go back, I guarantee you, and listen to the names you suggested because she'll end up checking them out because she loves, like, my mom's the weirdest person. When there's people in the car, she doesn't turn on background music. She'd rather just drive in silence.
okay.
And she doesn't listen to music. Like, I don't even think she has like Spotify, but she doesn't have any music downloaded. So that's like, that right there explains to you how little she listens to music. So often you get in her car to start a drive and it's like, when the car turns on, it's like, and she brutally was murdered, head smashed and caved in by her husband with a pickaxe. And I'm like, is this what you wake up to every morning? The fuck is wrong with you?
That's literally me on my way to work, like every morning at like 6 a.m. And I get to work and I'm like, guys, the podcast I listened to today, and they're all like, oh no, we know it's someone got like kidnapped when they were
Yeah.
two, like, but definitely tell her Dr. Death. That is like, I want to say it's like 4 or 6 hours total and like spread out episodes. And it's about this doctor in Texas who like murdered, I don't know, 100 something patients of his.
Wow, she'll love that because she's in the medical field too, so she'll want to hear Dr. Death.
Yeah, that was like that was one of the first ones I got into like 2 years ago, and ever since podcasts, like, you know me, at school I always had music on, always.
Yeah.
So I'm always listening to something.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I don't have Spotify. I have Apple, and Apple Rap doesn't, kind of sucks, and it doesn't give you. Yeah, I need to switch. But it doesn't show your hours of podcast listen. So I tried to just do it manually because I'm an avid podcast listener where I don't miss episodes. Like, it starts to hit Friday because to me, my podcasts, it's like Monday to Monday is my listening cycle. So I start to hit that new week and I'm like, oh my God, it's Friday and I still have like 3 hours, but I'm going to be doing stuff. I don't have to drive to work today. So I got to listen to this. And I like get worried about, because it's like a show. All of a sudden you're next episode and they're like, so last week when I was talking about this, you're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And
no, I'm the same way.
So I tried to add it up, and I think it was something that I probably listened to like 18,000 minutes of podcasts this last, like some crazy where I think I was about like 8,000 or 9,000 hours worth of podcast. And that was give or take because there's some weeks where like I don't listen to Joe Rogan, but if he has a guest on, I somehow get that in. Or like Bill Burr was on this a podcast last week I don't listen to, so I like got that in and all that kind of stuff. So isn't there something stressful about when you start to get like all of a sudden you're like halfway through that Sword and Scale episode and now you open your app and it says 2? You're like, oh fuck, like I'm behind. It gives me anxiety.
I like check every day to make sure I'm like, okay, they didn't add an extra, because like sometimes they'll be like, we did a bonus episode in the middle of the week, and I'm like, I didn't even
I'm so glad that we're on the same page. This is like a spiritual connection that we're like someone who understands the stress of it.
A podcast, yes.
Yeah. Anything else you want to plug or anything, like any music or shows or anything like that?
Not off the top of my head. I definitely recommend everyone go to see The Undoing. It is pretty messed up, but very good. Okay, I refrained from saying Wicked because I didn't want you to make fun.
No, don't. I was laughing earlier because when I listen back to these where I catch myself how often I go, you'll be like, have you seen The Simpsons? And I go, no, yeah. And that's not correct grammar whatsoever. I said no to your question. It doesn't make sense. So I do that too. I talked about this on the last podcast, but you seem to like these kind of suspenseful murder things. Watch the movie called Freaky with Vince Vaughn. It just came out. It's on the VOD, so you might be able to wait a little. so it can get off that like $20 VOD
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's like a comedy thriller where Vince Vaughn switches bodies with this girl, and Vince Vaughn was the murderer, and she's like this innocent girl. And so then now the murderer's in the girl's body, and Vince Vaughn has to play a girl, like a teenage girl, and he does it. It's so good. It's super funny. You would really like
Okay.
it. So I suggest
Okay.
checking that out. This is kind of the part where I let anyone plug their stuff. So if there's any like healthy dog products or anything you like that want to plug, otherwise I'll have your Instagram and Twitter in the bio. So if people want to go follow up with you, they want to DM you pictures of their dog, she won't give you help like I do, so don't even bother. That's my exclusive rights. I earned that shit.
I will accept any dog questions, pictures, anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to plug except, like, let me show you guys Colton.
Oh, yes. Bring on chicken.
Chicken!
Yeah, we called him. Why did you? Oh, I missed him. Hi, Colton.
This was like Brandon's icebreaker to me. I was like, hi, I have a dog. He's going to bark at you and never say hi to you.
Yeah. No, he was my buddy by the end of it. You know, if he wasn't afraid of me, he would sit in my lap and all that. That's funny. I miss him because he was basically like one of my dogs for like the year that you were at Murray when I was there, because he was always over and Cole was always over. So it's funny because I missed the shit out of both those dogs. And I haven't seen him in forever.
I know. But, he used to even come to your football games. Like
I know he had the cute jersey and all that. So I'll put up a little picture of that at the right here so they can see it. Give him a little shout out. But before I take us out, anything else you want to promote and shout out?
I don't think so. I'm not a very interesting person.
No, you were great. I'm sure, you know, I love to have different kinds of guests because, you know, I hope people find it interesting to meet new people. I haven't had a vet on. It's something different. You know, I've had a lot of musicians, artists, comedians, you know, they hear the same talk, but I'm sure and everyone loves animals. And now they know that people keep rats as pets. They know that you are for a mass genocide of cats. And
that's me.
Yeah. No, everyone definitely, no one, if you're, I assume, you know, I'm joking, but if any part of you is like, oh my gosh, what if people think that? The only takeaway from that is people are going, what the fuck is wrong with him? And how did he come up with that scenario off the top of his head? And I'll just tell you, there's a lot of stuff wrong with it. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast. It was super awesome to have you on. You know, go check out our social media, follow up with her, take care of your animals and treat them right. For the squad that's listening, you know, if it's your 39th time or your first time being here, I appreciate you. We still have those stickers on sale, or they're not even on sale. I'm just giving them away. If anyone wants them, message me your address. I'll send them out and all that. And thank you guys for listening. And most importantly, thank you for letting us be your last resort. See ya.
This has been a Your Last Resort production.